Hey, it's working.
It is working. Hold on a second. And then headset.
So it's the Miami Heat with a 21. Hello?
Oh, my goodness. There's somebody else.
Does it work? Oh, that's a great background.
Let
me put a shirt on.
Background.
Let me put a shirt on. I haven't worn one in 4 days.
I had to take a shower for the first time in 3 days.
Ugh. There we go.
Ah, there we go.
Hey, that's fitting. Ugh.
I don't hear you.
Can you hear me?
Now I do.
Okay.
I hear John.
I wonder if my wireless headphones would work better. 1 second.
Oh, no, you sound good. If you scroll the camera to the left so you see what's on the right, you'll see all three of us.
I do. Yep. All right.
So I have Jimmy might be hopping on Freiburg.
Cool. Did
Yeah.
anybody text Josh? I don't think he looks at the group anymore.
I text. Someone can text him. Who knows? All he wanted to do is post his plays and be like, "Hey, this is what I'm doing," and then he left. Smoke bomb.
It's gone in 10 minutes.
I'm surprised he didn't jump on after the Ohio State draft picks.
Ooh, they went 2 and 3, right?
Effectively 1, 2, and 3. Because
Yeah.
Burrow was there.
Actually, yeah. But what was the last time it happened? 97, they said, with Orlando Pace and somebody else?
Was that Penn State? No,
I think so.
Orlando Pace was Ohio State. That was Ohio State.
The last time 2 guys went in the top 3, Orlando Pace and somebody else went 1 and 3.
Was that?
All right, guys.
Was that Antonio Wingfield Sr.?
Possibly. He's still Junior's on the board.
Junior's still on the board. Yes.
There's
a lot of good.
There's a lot of safeties on the board. McKinney, Delpit, and Winfield Jr. are still on the board. So, yeah.
All right, so we're gonna go and do a typical intro, I think.
Oh, let me pull. If I leave the app, you can still hear me, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Let me pull up. I don't know.
We see a lovely photo of you.
What?
You look very.
I look confused, don't I?
You look mean.
It's the post eyebrows or facial photo.
Oh yes, yeah. It really brings out my intensity.
Yeah, you look very intense.
All right. Okay.
Turn off your. There we go. Let me make sure I'm recording this.
It says recording.
It's recording. All right. Well.
Technology.
Hi guys, welcome to Simon Says Corona edition and NFL Draft edition. And any other additions you want to throw in there, guys? I'm kind of.
I finally have Netflix on my television.
Ooh.
Give me 1 minute. Let me try and change my headset's not working like they be. Let's see if this is any better. Someone say something.
Hello.
Something.
Anything?
Nope. Talking.
Okay. Same assistant.
John's goofy ass picture.
Oh God.
There we go. That's an old photo.
We know.
Shut up. All right. Well, anyways, guys, so last night the NFL draft happened. As per usual, I wasn't happy with our selection as a Panthers fan, but whenever typically that happens, we tend to that guy turns into a Pro Bowler and knock it out of the park. So,
all pro, not Pro Bowler. First team All Pro.
So you know what? I can't be too mad at the pick. For those of you who don't know, I'm a Panthers fan, and we selected Brown out of Auburn. He's a big old defensive tackle. He's what, 6'5", 320?
20.
He's about 318.
All SEC first team defensive line.
Oh wait,
and
hold on.
he was effectively their only defensive player last year for Auburn.
Yeah, he didn't look. You watch his highlight reels, he just looks like a fat guy out there dominating kids. So I don't know.
He's in more shape than some of the other fat guys, though. But I mean, like Aaron Donald's over 300 pounds, but he doesn't look like he's over 300 pounds.
Yeah, but the kid out of South Carolina,
Aaron Donald's 5'11".
more.
Yeah, Aaron Donald's 5'11".
Exactly, he's 5'11". He looked like a monster. He looks like a monster out there. So I mean, what are you gonna do about it?
5'11" and benches 500 pounds. That's insanity.
But again, this is
not.
Who's the last Auburn first round draft pick in the top 5 by the Panthers? That worked out.
Cam Newton.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That worked out all right.
Until it didn't.
But going back to what you're talking about there was a bit of deflation because I think a lot of Panthers fans were kind of surprised and hopeful that Simmons was available and then passed on him. So then it was like, oh, well, he's good. Brown's good. So I think people are going to have to talk themselves back into appreciating him.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and just go through the draft right quick because, we'll just blast through this and talk about some of the other things that have happened during the whole Corona thing, like no movies.
Everything's pushed back. Everything got pushed back.
The worst part is movies for me.
Worst part is the fact that Tiger King became an actual influential part of my life for about 3 days there. Not a fan of that. And that stupid Carol Baskins, it's one of those things. It became a thing, and now it's gone already.
What do we think about Joe Burrow being called the Tiger King?
That's Gardner Minshew.
That's the Jaguars.
So as of right now, I'm looking at CBS Sports. They give the Bengals, of course, an A for that draft pick on Joe Burrow. I'm not that high on him. I think he only had one good season, and then we don't know about the rest.
But that good season was the best season, so we'll see. True,
but it'll be interesting to see how he's going to transition from that offense that he had at LSU, who's now the Panthers' offense.
Hopefully.
The thing is, Tua was on pace for a nearly identical season until he got hurt.
Yes, that is true. And again, both of those guys had NFL wide receivers.
Both of them.
At all positions.
Loaded.
I kind of prefer Tua, though. I mean, he has multiple seasons of showing that kind of just overall productivity. And I don't know. That injury sucked for him.
It's great for me.
Well, obviously. Do you think – now, had Tua not been injured, do you think he goes 1?
Well, if Burrow still has the first season, I think Cincinnati has a terrible choice because if both of them look similar and Burrow's from Ohio and you can just sell tickets because of that, that might have tipped it that way just to sell tickets.
True. But, I mean, we'll see. Dolphins lucked out, and you're wearing a Dolphins jersey. Why are you looking off into the distance?
If Tua's not hurt, they probably beat LSU, or they get into the playoff, and then they play LSU in the 1-4 game, and who knows what happens after that. So it changes everything
a lot.
in the season.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm a little reserved about that pick because, like I said, that kid had one amazing season, but everything before that, kind of garbage. So we'll see. Next up, we got the Redskins. They took Chase Young out of OSU. That's pretty much a can't-miss pick, from what I understand. This kid's being compared to J-Pap and every other fantastic edge rusher ever. But the highlight reel shows him. He looks like the second coming of Julius Peppers, athletically.
Ohio State
J-Pap.
Ohio State's been doing well with their defensive linemen over the last few years.
Yeah, he was the easiest pick of the draft, probably.
Yes.
Yeah. It should have took 5 seconds.
Yeah. Next up, the Lions took Jeff Okudah, another OSU guy, so that's 3 straight.
Which fits because Patricia is a Belichick guy, so he likes the shutdown corners. So that will help his defense.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens with them. I mean, you're right. Belichick does love the shutdown guys, I mean, he's always managed to somehow get them. I mean, when he signed, what's his face, $14 million for 1 year?
Revis
Island. Yeah. You know, he skeezed himself in his pants just a little bit when he got that pick.
Well,
So,
Gilmore,
I mean,
for Belichick, Gilmore's the only free agent he's ever paid. So he clearly likes corners.
Obviously. So he's supposed to be the next shutdown corner to come into the league. Next up, we have the Giants and Andrew Thomas. Some people think this is a surprise. I don't. I mean, every major mock I saw leading up to prior to bowl games coming up, they had him in the top 5. So I mean, it wasn't much of a stretch. I mean, he didn't have the best workouts, but they clearly needed a tackle, so they got their guy.
If you believe Jones is your quarterback and you know Barkley's your running back, you got to get linemen.
Yeah,
exactly.
It really seemed like in all those mocks, those 4 linemen just became interchangeable towards the end.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, it wasn't that big of a shock. People were just kind of like, "Oh, look what they did." I'm like, dude, he's the best tackle. Tackle's important. He's going to get paid. Whatever. So the Giants got their man. Next up, Dolphins. Josh got their quarterback of the future, hopefully, Tua. He's my favorite quarterback in the draft.
Season exactly how they needed to.
Yeah. He was my favorite quarterback coming in. So, I mean, he's impressive. That's all I can say. Every time I watch him play, accuracy, his ability to be mobile, everything. You know, he's got pretty good accuracy.
I was sold in the second half of that Georgia National Championship game. I was sold that game.
Yeah. So, I mean, the kid's a monster. The hip injury, I mean.
He's going to sit a year. Fine.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just happy Detroit didn't bend us over a barrel and get us to trade.
Yeah. And then next up, we got the Chargers and Justin Herbert. Okay.
I feel good about that. I don't like Herbert and I don't like the Chargers, so they're all in one place.
Hopefully he'll play back to San Diego.
8-8.
I mean, he's a big, tall guy, and personally, every time you have a quarterback around that height, it just doesn't seem to work. I don't know. But they seem to like him.
Newton.
He seems to be – huh?
Cam Newton.
He's not 6'6", is he? Cam, I thought he was 6'5".
I've met him.
Cam's 6'5".
Is he?
Yeah.
He's
I mean, if you see him in public, he looks tall as shit. He looks massive in public. So, I mean, he might be taller. They may have lied about his height just to get him that draft spot, but, I mean, who knows? But he came out of Oregon.
He did have was it the Rose Bowl that he was in? He showed some athleticism in that. He was really good.
Yeah.
3 rushing touchdowns.
Next up, the Panthers and Derek Brown. CBS gave this pick an A+.
The Arizona Cardinals gave it an A+ too.
Yes, they did.
Yeah, no shit. Well, no, here's kind of funny thing about it. So Isaiah Simmons, who I personally wanted, so that name, along with Derek Brown, will now be synonymous with me for the rest of my life. He goes next to the Cardinals, and they gave them a B-.
I think Isaiah Simmons is tied to me.
Well, no. What I'm saying is that I always have a thing where during the Hornets draft or the Panthers draft, there's always a guy I really like, and he always seems to go right after. So, one of those things, good example, I wanted Luke Kennard. We took Monk. So, just as a Hornets fan, that happened all the time. I mean, DJ Augustine, we passed on Brook Lopez. So, the Panthers seem to do the same shit. This happened. So he's an athletic freak of nature. He can play pretty much every position on the field on the defensive side of the ball. I personally think he would have been great to plug in, considering the fact we're about to lose so many starters on the defensive end side of the ball. But
was it 7 starters? Is it 7 starters?
Yeah, something like that. We're losing a total of 13 to 15. We're going to have 13 or 15 brand new starters going into the season. So,
Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah. That's the only thing I can see. I mean, from what I understand, it's looking like what were you gonna say? I thought you were gonna say something. Teddy Bridgewater is actually on a 2-year deal, essentially, because, yeah. So, Jerry, you're right. Say something.
No, that's it. I mean, they signed their bridge quarterback with Bridgewater.
Who also was coached by the current coach. So, whatever.
Oh, yeah, the backup quarterback was his quarterback at Temple.
Yeah. XFL kid. And the XFL, in the time that we managed to not record, the XFL started and ceased to exist.
They also had some really good rules innovations.
Yeah.
They did.
Vince is getting sued for wrongful terminations.
He
Is
should.
it really?
Yeah.
He should.
By Andrew Luck's dad.
Oh. Really?
Yeah, I think it was the president of the league, and that was or the general manager of the league, or whatever they called it. But I think that's Luck's dad has that job.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, Luck's dad, he used to have that job with what, the Texans, I do believe? Or the Oilers?
Yes. Oliver Luck is the dad.
Yeah. So next up, the Jaguars took C.J. Henderson, and he's quarterback out of Florida.
Gator.
Yeah, I mean, the Gator corners are always hit or miss. It's either like they're going to be an absolute stud or they fall off the face of the earth the moment they get drafted. So
Well, they still play 10 years, though.
Yeah.
they do, and they all seem to father 18 kids, but I mean.
No.
It was a
That's
reach.
Tennessee running backs.
It was just a reach to replace Ramsey.
Yeah, it was. So next up, you have Jedrick Wills out of Alabama, offensive tackle, goes to the Browns. He's pretty big. He's not.
How many SEC guys is this so far?
So far, SEC, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
We got 10 more to go.
Yeah, I know. That's 5 out of first 10. He's a big body guy for the Browns. I just started recently playing Madden on Xbox again. First time I played Madden since 2016. I just looked at all the rosters, and the one thing I noticed is that every dude on the offensive line for the Browns was rated under a 70.
Which is really funny because right before they went 0-16 and 1-15 back-to-back, they had 3 All-Pro, Pro Bowl linemen.
Yeah, they did. And they lost all those guys, and now they have one of the worst lines in the league. So clearly they were filling a need, and hopefully that can help that offense get off the ground. They did not trade Odell, so we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens with that. I still have faith because I still think the Steelers are going to fall off the face of the earth, but we'll see what happens. Baker.
Odell should stick around. They got Conklin and Wills.
Agreed.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see what happens. Bakerfield might actually have some protection for a change. Next up, the Jets took Mekhi Becton out of Louisville, the most massive human being I think I've ever seen.
Those restaurants being open 24/7 are not going to do good for him.
This dude weighs what, 365?
Yep.
3-1. Was it a 5-1-4 40? 5-1-4.
And he weighs basically 365. He's a massive, massive human being, athletically freak of nature. I saw his family. His entire family is huge, too.
His little brother is massive.
His mother's a caterer. So clearly that kid's getting fed well every goddamn day before he goes to bed. Yeah.
They used to make that much food all the time.
She's like, you know what? There's only way I can feed this child is if I go into the food industry. So that clearly is the reason why that happened. So next up, we have Henry Ruggs III out of Alabama going to the Raiders.
Makes sense.
I swear to God.
They got enamored 40 time.
It's like Al Davis is still alive.
Yeah, Al Davis Al Davis is clearly still alive. Speed, baby, speed. Just win with a guy who might have questionable hands and runs a 4.29. But
he was at best the third receiver.
Huh?
He's at best the third receiver in the draft. At best.
By far the best basketball mixtape.
But he was also, oh God, he looked like Westbrook out there.
Yeah.
Like his ups, his hops, his ferocity in those dunks. He looked like a monster. So quite impressive. Next up, we have Tristan Wirfs, Iowa. You know
That's
what?
the kid who jumped out of the pool, right?
Yeah.
Nice.
Brady needed a guy to protect his blind side, and they got him. I personally think all those picks are all for naught because, I think Brady's done, but we'll have to see what happens with that.
I think
That's
what
another
hurts
thing
him
actually-
more is this season and when it starts, if it starts, and how everything goes with that. Because you're gonna. This is what's gonna happen. You're gonna get lucky like the Roethlisberger thing, and he gets hurt. So it's like, oh, the Steelers suck, but they still finish in front of the Browns. Is that if if football doesn't play this year, then Brady will actually be 43 in next season?
Yeah.
So that doesn't count.
It doesn't count.
No.
It's bullshit. That's what it is. Hold on a second. I have a Packers fan that wants to talk about their pick.
The best part was
I'm here for this.
no, hold on. The best part was Pat McAfee was recapping the draft pick by pick, and they had Rodgers on about 10 picks before it happened. And they kept asking him to call him back, but he wouldn't do it.
It's funny. I actually like the Packers pick, but whatever. Anyways,
It's as a football standpoint, it's a fine pick, but basically you're telling Aaron Rodgers, we're done with you.
well, I mean, it is. He is going into what, his 16th season. I mean, he's up there in age. He didn't have a bad season, that's for sure. They also have never drafted an offensive weapon in the first round, I think, ever since he's been there.
Last 10 years.
Yeah.
They were a game
it's-
for Super Bowl.
Yeah. All right, next up we have the 49ers and Javon Kinlaw of South Carolina. That kid.
Great story with that kid.
What was the story?
He was homeless, and his parents had separated, and there were issues with them, and he had to go back and forth, and he would ride the metro in D.C. just because the weather inside there was better than the weather outside for extended periods.
Really?
Yeah.
Well,
He was homeless for a while growing up.
so we got the sequel to The Blind Side, huh? Except about a defensive tackle.
Except no white savior.
That's even better. All right. Next up, the Broncos wide receiver Jerry Jeudy out of Alabama.
They got to be happy about that.
He fell back a lot. A lot of people had him going top 10. The
Best
Broncos
route
only
runner
got
in the draft.
The Broncos only got a B for this pick. He is the best runner in the draft, but I mean, a lot of people think he's really tiny and small, so that's why I went against him. I think he only weighs like $192 or something like that. $190.
What does Antonio Brown weigh?
Less.
Yeah, true. Hey, you don't have to talk to me about Antonio Brown. I love Antonio Brown.
He can play
Literally the
football.
only steal I've ever loved because they hate him. So I mean, I'm sticking to my guns on that one still to this day. He'll probably end up being a buck here pretty soon.
No.
Brady wants it.
Yeah. Could you imagine? That'd be ridiculous. All right, next up, we have the Falcons and A.J. Terrell out of Clemson. Jerry, what do you say about this kid?
He's going to be a solid player. He's real physical, so he's probably going to get called for some pass interferences early in his career. It's high, though, but one of the things is over the last several years, Clemson's getting secondary guys drafted in the first round pretty consistently, and that's kind of shocking because most of their star guys on defense are in the front seven.
Yeah, true. Well, they got a C+ on this pick, according to CBS Sports. They said it was a desperation pick. They think that there were some better corners available, potentially. But, it is what it is.
I'm surprised they didn't go for a defensive end. They need to pressure the quarterback.
Yeah, because what was it? Vic Beasley didn't work out too well that they drafted. So
they let him go.
They let
Free
him go.
agency.
So, yeah. So next up is C.D. Lamb to the Cowboys. He's from Oklahoma. B+
100
grade.
on hands and awareness.
Yep. This kid was considered the best. A lot of people thought he was the best running or wide receiver in the draft. And he managed to fall to the Cowboys, who now have no excuse not to be amazing for Dak. That's going to be pretty impressive to have that lineup.
Their defense is going to suffer, though.
Yeah.
Eventually. It hasn't suffered yet. They haven't lost
They
anyone,
lost three starters this offseason.
Did they
And
lose
Zach
three
Martin
starters?
retired.
Zach Martin did retire. But, I mean, hey, offense kills these days, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, ask the Rams about that.
Hey, they did pick up a bunch of superstars on the defensive end, and that didn't work out too well for them either. So, past their prime superstars. Then again, Jared Goff is kind of done. So,
This is what,
next
year
up?
one? Is this year one of that quarterback contract this year?
I think it's year one, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, Lord.
He'll be gone in a couple of years.
You got Ramsey's deal coming up next season?
Yeah.
Yes, and they have to pay him.
Hey, there's also another thing is Winslow
No,
nor
Ramsey is
Cam
this year.
have jobs
Ramsey
yet.
is this year.
Is he?
Ramsey is this year because that's why all the other veteran corners and safeties are waiting because they have to wait for Ramsey to sign, and then the dominoes going backward from him.
Sidebar: Cam Newton nor Winslow have jobs yet, and the Chargers drafted a quarterback. So, do the Patriots pounce on one of those guys? You think this week?
I don't think that. Well, the Patriots don't like Winston's turnovers. We'll just 30 turnovers. You're not getting a look from the Patriots.
True, but I mean, those guys were number one picks overall, and they do have the talent to be pretty good. So, I mean, they got to get picked up eventually.
Eventually, but the thing that hurts Newton, and it's just a timing thing, is with no workouts and coming off of 2 consecutive years of injuries, it's going to be hard for him to get a signing until they can actually see him play or see him and give him a physical.
Yeah, it doesn't really help the fact that he can't get a physical done right now, and no one really trusts what they're diagnosing him as saying he's good to go. We said he was good to go, but I don't really trust what we had to say about that either, since we let him go.
And then cut him.
Yeah. I'm still not happy about that. So next up is Austin Jackson out of USC to the Dolphins.
I mean, it's a need. I like it.
They gave you a C- on that pick.
Well, I mean, there are other taps available.
He's from a family of football players. That's always a plus.
No.
Yeah, he's a project, they say. People think they should have gone with Cleveland, but, whatever.
He's still there.
He is still there.
And we pick
So next up we have the Raiders and probably a lot of people think it's the biggest stretch of the draft was Damon Arnett out of OSU.
Chris Carter's son.
Chris Carter.
They didn't even bring him up when they
Well, that's because he's the corner playing opposite of Okuda. So the one good thing is you have lots of film on him because he got thrown at all the time.
Yeah. I mean, that's true. That actually they graded that pick out at a B. So the guy they said he didn't think he'd go this high, but I guess at the Raiders he's better than the team that he was on, so they don't think he said he's got an attitude, but we'll see what happens. And this guy says he doesn't see much of a significant difference between him and Okuda, so that's impressive.
Except for the size. Okuda's bigger.
So next up we have edge rusher Clavon Chason
Yes.
out of LSU. He was a B+.
Who drafted him?
The Jags.
That's to trade the defensive end that's Twitter's fighting with the vice president or general manager, whatever his name is, for the owner's son with the Jags.
I didn't even know that was happening. There's a Twitter beef going on right now?
Yeah, it's over the last several months because I guess the guy said that he was promised that he was going to get traded, and they haven't done any of that yet. So he's been calling him out as a liar on Twitter.
Oh,
the Ngawe guy or whatever.
Yes. So
That's
that pick
hilarious.
was to cover that trade eventually.
so next up we have the Eagles and Jalen Reagor out of TCU.
Wide receiver,
Wide receiver, yeah.
they had to do that.
A lot of people saw this as a stretch. It's kind of funny because when they were talking about him last night, they were like, "This is the kid that would have gone much higher," but he was playing with some bad quarterback play, which I thought was kind of funny to hear and see because Jesus, talk about throwing a quarterback under the bus. It's like, hey kid, you would have been drafted higher if you actually played with someone better than you had, but. Typically, I think wide receivers should make their quarterbacks look better, but whatever.
Makes you wonder how bad the quarterback would have been without him.
Yeah, true. So next up, we have Justin Jefferson of LSU. He goes to the Vikings at 22.
Got to be happy about that.
Yeah, people love this pick. They're saying he's no Stephon Diggs, but no one's going to complain about him replacing him. So we'll see. Everyone thought he'd go before 22, and I personally like this kid a lot. That's what I was hoping he'd somehow slip to the Panthers, but his draft stock skyrocketed after his workouts. So, yay. Next up, we have Chargers linebacker Kenneth Murray out of Oklahoma. They gave him a B for this pick, but they did trade him to get him. But, hey, I don't really know much about him. I can't really say much. So,
Wait,
I didn't watch
who drafted this kid?
Chargers.
Okay. I was working ahead. The Ravens pick is a great pick.
Coming up next is the Saints and Cesar Ruiz. He's a center out of Michigan. They think he's going to end up being a Pro Bowler. They give this grade an A. The Saints, of course, as always, draft need, and they got their guy.
Got to protect the quarterback.
Especially when he's 40.
Yes.
Especially when he's 40 and that tiny. Next up, we have the 49ers at 25. Brandon Ayuk out of Arizona State, B+. Yuck. They think he's going to be phenomenal. He's only scratching the surface of his talents, so we'll see what happens.
They have no wide receivers. Deebo Samuel, I think, is the only one still on the team.
Yeah. Manny Sanders went to
New Orleans.
New Orleans. Great. Panthers have no corners to cover him. Well, they did bring in a couple corners, but that's neither here nor there. Now, hold on. Give me 1 second. I'm going to invite a Packers fan to come on and discuss the next pick. Yeah, I have a Packers fan who wants to come on here. I think it's funny. Personally, I like the pick for them. I think it's about time they start getting ready for the possible future. It's very similar to what happened between him and Favre back in the day when Favre would decide whether he wanted to stay or go. So
the difference was that Rodgers was the top two quarterbacks, and they expected him to go top 5, and he fell all the way into the 20s. Mm-hmm. And in that case, you take him.
Yeah, with Jordan Love, his combine and his tape has got him into the first when a lot of people thought he was going to be a second or third rounder. So, there's a little bit of a give and take there.
Well, his last season killed him because he had like 9 new starters and a new coaching staff.
Yeah. And, I mean, he's probably going to sit behind him for a couple of years,
Well, yeah, but I mean –
probably 3, yeah.
If they don't have any offensive weapons for Love to play with once he starts playing.
They don't have any for Rodgers to play with, and they're saying they almost made the Super Bowl. So if he had a couple guys that could catch a ball, that would have been impressive. Oh, here we go. My friend Grant Yonke's coming in. His last name is Yonke. He is from Wisconsin. He's a diehard Green Bay fan, so here we go. Where is he at? Let me see. Grant, you there? God, you look like a Packers fan now. Grant, is that a mustache I see there? Is that a quarantine stash you're growing?
Beautiful.
Yeah, I know.
He looks like the Reno 911 guy.
He does.
Hey there.
Oh, there he is. Can you hear me?
How are you now?
Oh, God, you sound like a Packers and look like a Packers fan. What happened to you? Did you move back to Wisconsin?
No, I am in Atlanta, Georgia, originally Sheboygan Falls, Wisconsin. Hi, fellas.
Hello.
How's it going?
We have Jerry and Josh here. We are now on pick 26, Jordan Love, Utah State. So, Grant, as a Packers fan, please let us know, how do you truly feel about this pick?
How much time you got, buddy? Something happened last night. Something that hasn't happened since Vince Lombardi left the Packers. The smell of human shit surpassed the smell of cow shit because every single fucking Packer dropped a Johnsonville-sized turd log in their overalls because this is fucking crazy.
I agree.
Let's start with the facts, right? We can get into the opinions. Let's start with the facts. The Packers have not drafted a fucking skill position player first round since Reagan was in office. Fucker. It was like 15 fucking years ago.
Yeah.
They give Rodgers nothing in the first round. And then and they shove this in his face. So there's that. And so comparing this to the Brett Favre thing, they could potentially make the argument, oh, we take the best players on the board. But no, they traded down to get this guy, which is another huge fuck you. So, I don't know what the hell they're thinking unless they really just have a rift with Rodgers. But this is wild. I didn't think in a million years this would happen.
They were one game from the Super Bowl. It makes no sense.
Well, so here's another thing to consider that I don't think people really – you got to be a Packer fan, I think, a non-delusional Packer fan to consider this. The Packers were one win away from the Super Bowl, but talent-wise, not even fucking close.
No,
However, if Seattle had beaten San Francisco and it was Green Bay versus Seattle, Green Bay probably gets in.
Well, it was Green Bay versus Seattle.
Yeah, in the round before. But I'm saying if Seattle had won Game 17 and then the seeding was all different.
I see.
And Green Bay could have avoided San Francisco. They probably could have gotten in.
They would have gotten smoked in the Super Bowl, right? There were, we could speculate in the circumstances. They weren't a Super Bowl caliber team, one. And two, they're not the caliber, especially from an age perspective, the kind of team that's like, oh, we're on the brink, right? We fell short because our players aren't ready. They have a lot of veteran talent and not a lot of young talent. And they were just a good team that had a good run. They were pretty well coached. Obviously, Rodgers was great. The defense overperformed, and you probably can't expect that to happen again this year. So, it's just Packers fans are going to be like, we should have been going all out for a Super Bowl, but that's probably not realistic. We're looking at being another somewhere in the top 10 type team that could have a nice run. It's not like they were on the cusp. You know what I mean?
I routinely said you guys were one of the worst 13-3 teams ever. So,
yeah, they were definitely fraudulent, and then they faced the only more fraudulent team, the Seahawks.
John, didn't you have Green Bay beating San Francisco in the NFC Championship game?
I did, but you know what?
You're such a weasel, John.
Hey, and Aaron Rodgers, I trusted, okay? I thought we'd have a vintage Aaron Rodgers game. I trusted your O-line to maybe get their shit together. I was wrong, okay? I was wrong.
Do you think Brett Favre must have had a hell of a night down in Mississippi. He's going to need some Prilosec OTC this morning after he crushed last night.
Are you growing yourself a quarantine stash there?
Yeah, I grow a mustache like a 12-year-old. Get a look at this. Oh. Whenever I get the opportunity, I try to see what I got working there, and there's just not much. I'm 32 years old, by the way.
You look like you're 22 still, Grant.
Thanks, Jack.
Yeah, I don't know what you're doing, but keep it up. You want to stay on for the rest of the picks, or?
No, fellas, my opinion is completely irrelevant and uneducated. As such, I will leave it to you.
As is ours.
Those Packers.
And in fact, I got work to do, so I'll catch you later. Thanks for letting me
All
come
right.
on.
Well,
I'll be happy
thank
to
you for
rant.
coming on, man. Thank you.
I can rant Packers anytime you want. Just let me know.
All right, maybe we'll bring you on next week. And we're letting him go. And that was that. I would really love to bring on one of my best friends who's actually from Green Bay, who is a Packers fan. He doesn't know anything about college football, but he just immediately gut reacted. And he's just like, I hate this pick. I'm like, who knows, man? They're doing the lazy comparison thing. You know, he's a mixed kid, and they're comparing him to Mahomes, so you got that going for you. But, you know, whatever. I told him that I told him that Aaron Rodgers was already the oldest man in the NFL by a long shot. He's not exactly the oldest, but he's the oldest, if you know what I mean. So, yeah, we'll see what happens with that. I like the pick. The kid looks like he could be a project, but he looks like he could be pretty good long term. Next up is your team's pick there, Jerry. Jordan Brooks, Texas Tech, Seahawks, linebacker. They gave you guys a C+, but yeah.
They typically give Seattle drafts bad looks.
Yeah, they're looking to pick for a win now, so
I would have liked an offensive lineman but that one works out pretty well because Wagner and KJ Wright are still signed. They brought Bruce Irvin back, but obviously that's not a solution. And he looks like a fast guy that can fill in with Irvin to allow him to only have to play on third down.
Hey, Jerry, you're having a little technical difficulties there. You're kind of coming in and out a little bit. Just letting you know.
I hear him.
Hey, does this sound better?
Yeah. Did you hear that, Josh?
I think
coming in and out
that,
for you?
I thought I heard him.
Oh.
that
Maybe
could
it's my
be your
headset.
headphones.
Hold on, give me a second. I'll turn this bitches off.
This is like Teddy Riley and Babyface.
Oh, there we go. Seems to be working better. It was the headset. Bluetooth sucks. All right, next up we have the Ravens and Patrick Queen out of LSU, linebacker.
I think it's a fantastic pick for the Ravens.
Yeah,
They've got Calais Campbell. They've got these great defensive lineman guys up front. This guy can just sprint and tackle somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah, he seems to be, they're giving this pick a B. They think he's going to be a star on this defense. And, yeah, they say his range is outstanding. He can go sideline to sideline. And he's going to replace a long line of seemingly great linebackers this team seems to always get. Somehow, every 10 years, they seem to luck out into someone amazing. So,
well, I think the thing that'll benefit him the most is with Calais Campbell standing up in front of him, nobody will see where he is.
This is very true. All right, next up, we have the Titans offensive tackle Isaiah Wilson out of Georgia. Just pick out a B+. They think it's a good pick. He's a massive right tackle dude, and they needed a massive right tackle. So he's a maul in the run game.
He's a great run blocker.
Yep, and he's exactly what they need to do. Next up, the Dolphins. Josh Terry, you guys drafted Noah Igabigany out of Auburn.
Yeah, I don't know.
Igabigany.
Igabigany. Big. I don't even know, man. I tried to listen to how Goodell said this name last night, and I think he muttered it. So I'm not even sure.
This is the guy whose parents were both Olympians, right?
Back in '92, right? I think.
Yes, 92. His mom was 92 and 96, and his dad Festus, who I remember him running. Well, actually, he was a jumper, but his mom was a bronze medalist in the 4x100 in the '92 Olympics.
Yeah, they're saying he's actually. They gave this pick an A+. They say this guy is the captain of the better than team. They're better than he's better than he actually gained credit for. So we'll see what happens with that.
Well, it gives the Dolphins so much versatility because he could either play. Well, the thing is, I think what they might do since he's a rookie and he's newer is they'll put him on the outside receiver on the slot side and then move in one of their stud corners to cover that guy, but just because of his speed. So it's like you can't beat him over the top.
Yeah.
He's going to be. Go ahead.
They have a lot of money allocated to cornerbacks right now. I don't know if they're keeping Howard.
Hey, they clearly have plans for the kid. So,
it works out because they don't have to pay a quarterback for 5 years.
Yep, they don't. So next up, they have Jeff Gladney, quarterback out of TCU. It's another corner. It's a need pick. They say that it's just they like the player and they just took what they needed. So nothing too impressive. They get to pick up B. And Mike Zimmer loves to draft corners. So
He makes a good play on the ball, and also Minnesota. Jerron Curse and Mackenzie Alexander, I think, are both free agents. So they have to replace some corners, and both former Clemson guys.
very true. All right, last pick. I'm kind of surprised by this, considering the fact that this is the first running back to be taken, and he went ahead of what's-his-face from Wisconsin. Basically, no one's a fan of taking running backs in the first round these days.
Unless they're all pro running backs who set yards from scrimmage records over the first 3 years.
Okay, Saquon Barkley and Christian McCaffrey notwithstanding, both guys have touched the ball a lot. Both guys are super young. I think we might see an injury out of both of them. Or Saquon already has injuries.
A couple.
Yeah, we might see injuries out of Christian in the next couple of years because he already has that 400 touch mark, which seems to be a kiss of death for a lot of running backs in the last 30 years.
Yeah, but those aren't 400 carries.
This is true, but it's 400 touches. We'll see what happens with that. But anyways, they took Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Huh?
Even you in our group chat said catches aren't the same as carries. Now you're changing your tune.
No, I'm saying touches in general.
Did your voice get a little high right there?
Huh?
Did your voice get a little high right there?
Right?
Anyways, guys, this guy's being compared to Maurice Jones-Drew. I hope so because I loved MJD a lot. So
I heard the Priest Holmes one, and I think the Priest Holmes one's more accurate because this guy's a pass catcher, and Maurice Jones-Drew wasn't that type of pass catcher.
No, MJD was a pretty good pass catcher towards the end of his career. He, as a guy who religiously drafted him in fantasy football, he caught a lot of balls during those times with the Jags. So
Yeah, but back then a lot of catches was like 30 to 50.
This is true.
This guy's going to get close to 70 because once they send all their wide receivers out in Kelsey, he's going to be wide open in the flats as a dump-off every single play.
Very true. I can only imagine. Somehow, so there's some notable names that have not been taken yet. T. Higgins being one of them. What happened with that?
He's probably not as fast as any of the other guys. He's got a better catch radius, and he's the only – I think of all the wide receivers, he's the only one taller than 6'1".
Yeah, he ran a 4.5 at the combine, and people weren't really happy with that. So he made a drop because of that.
Jerry Rice ran a 4.6.
This is true. Another guy dropped was AJ Epinesa, whatever his name is. Epinesa.
Yes.
He was projected a top 5, top 10 pick at one point, had a terrible workout. So someone's probably going to get a steal on him in the second round. So those are two guys off the top of my head already. Diggs
from Alabama, he's going to do really well for somebody as a corner.
Yeah, and also, McKinney?
And Wingfield Jr.
Yep, so we have some notable names in the second round. I think the second round is tonight at 8 o'clock again, right? Or is it
7 o'clock.
7 o'clock?
That's you, Delpit, right?
Huh?
Delpit's available.
Still there. Delpit's still there.
Yeah. So there's a lot of talent available.
All the running backs.
All the running backs.
All the one.
I would love the Panthers to draft another running back. They need someone who can maybe take some of the heat off Christian. And
I don't think you need that. I mean, you saw what Joe Brady did with Helaire, the guy that was drafted, Edwards-Helaire. And so, I mean, McCaffrey's not going to get the touches in between the tackles nearly as much as he had last year. And if anything, it looks like they need another receiver or somebody else to widen the field. The biggest issue is that there's too many people in the box, and that's why he'll get hit more. They need to widen the field to move people out of the box.
True. Well, the Panthers are going to be picking at 38. They said we're going to take Christian Fulton. I hope T. Higgins drops to us.
Thaddeus Moss is going to be out there somewhere.
Yeah, I've been seeing he's in the third round, though.
Yeah, I would agree with that. But, I mean, he's going to end up being a good pickup for somebody.
Jacob Eason's still out there. Jonathan Taylor from Wisconsin, who everyone says is actually not just a guy who ran behind an awesome line. Fromm
is out, isn't he? Fromm declared?
Yep. So And also, you have Chenault
out there.
Yeah, LaVisca Chenault out of Colorado, who everyone thought was going to be a top 15 pick.
Yeah, they thought he was going to be like the third receiver or something.
J.K. Dobbins is still out there. Cleveland's still out there. You know, there's a lot of – I'm just looking –
Josh Jones from Houston.
Yeah, I'm just looking at a list of players here.
Cam Akers is hanging out there somewhere.
Michael Pittman Jr. is still there at USC. Yeah, Cam Akers is still there. So, you know, there's a lot of talent available still. Chase Claypool out of Notre Dame was a name I saw in a lot of first-round mocks.
I think Moss is going to be a better tight end than him, unless Claypool is just a better run blocker. Because I can't imagine Thaddeus Moss blocks.
And then you have Jalen Hurts still, and who knows where he might end up.
The one of the mocks I've seen with him was him going third round to the Patriots.
I saw that as well. So I saw Jake Fromm going to the Raiders. So I'm actually just looking at a mock right now. They got Zach Moss out of Utah going to the Lions.
Why would Fromm to the Raiders? Him and Carr even look alike.
Yes, and I can't imagine Fromm has a stronger arm than Carr.
Oh,
No, he doesn't.
you run the same offense.
So, anyways, guys, we're going to go ahead and end this draft talk. Maybe we'll do another.
No, we have to all declare who won the round.
I'll say it. I think the Dolphins won because they didn't have to move up to get Tua.
I think the Dolphins won, and I think Minnesota had a low-key great draft as well.
But Minnesota did really well. They solved two of their needs.
Minnesota and Denver got steals.
I think the Jags had a really good draft as well, actually. Those are a few teams that had really great drafts.
I think the Jags picks might be good, but I don't know what the direction of the team is because Marone's not going to be the coach in 2 years.
No.
I like the Chargers' second pick better than their first.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Well, we'll see what happens, guys. Maybe we'll do another Zoom tomorrow for the second and third round. I'm going to end.
One thing. Gronkowski is back in the NFL, and he's currently the 24/7 champ. I think, and I texted this in our group chat, is that Vince McMahon would be an idiot to take that title from him before the NFL season starts and then have defensive players try and pin him on a tackle and just see what happens going back through that.
AEW should try to beat them to the punch with that.
Oh,
Agreed.
Being as they're ran by the Jaguars pretty much. It's too easy.
They need to sign one of their rookies before they sign him to football. Have him to pin him something, and then have that be a defensive player. So that way he can have it. He can just pin other people like I beat this guy. I beat this guy.
I hope it happens.
He should.
Anyways,
Vince, this is the only way Vince will get in the NFL.
All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and end the draft talk of this podcast. Anything else you want us to add to this before we sign off on the draft? And
Tampa shouldn't trade any of their tight ends.
Just run three.
Yeah.
all
Well, I
right.
mean, you don't. If when Brady leaves, Gronk's not going to stay, so you can still keep Howard and Brate after that.
Yeah.
Yeah, true. All right, well, I'm going to stop recording here in 5 seconds. So, hey, guys, thank you for listening to or watching and listening to Simon Says Corona Edition Draft or Draft Edition, Corona Draft Edition. Any sign-offs? Oh, no, Jerry, we're going to do a little bit of talk about the pushback for movies.
No, I know. I was just showing the sports people this.
Well, cool your tits. All right, guys, y'all have a good night. Thank you for listening or watching. Don't forget.
Go Hawks!
Don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow and share. Bye.
It's up. 2 up.